That's what music did for me for the whole time. It got me through the tough times I was suffering when I wasn't playing music. As I said in the movie, it just saved me.
Devastating details about Elton John. Well known in music, he came from a simple background and worked up to become one of the most famous singers. Behind his colorful costumes and catchy songs, his life is full of stories that suggest there's much more to him than what we see. What dark secrets could he be hiding? Get ready to uncover the untold stories behind his life and music. What you're about to discover may completely change how you see this icon. How Reginald became Elton. Elton John was born as Reginald Kenneth Dwight on March 25, 1947 in Pinner, England. Most people know him only as Elton, but his birth name was quite simple for someone who would go on to be so famous. His parents, Stanley Dwight and Sheila Fairbrother, gave him this name, but his love for music started very early. Amazingly, he taught himself to play the piano when he was just 4 years old. His talent was so clear that he earned a scholarship to the prestigious Royal Academy of Music in London, where it was obvious he was destined for greatness. Little did they know, a single phone call on a rainy London afternoon would soon change the course of his life, setting him on a path to become a global icon whose music would echo across generations. In 1976, Elton John reached the top of the music charts again with his duet "Don't Go Breaking My Heart," sung with Kiki D. Around this time, he decided to take a break from making music and focused on managing a soccer team he co-owned in England. It was also during these years that Elton publicly came out being attracted to both male and female. At the time, this was met with a lot of public criticism and mockery. Even though he faced challenges, by 1979, Elton made a strong comeback with his album, A Single Man. The 1980s might not have been full of top hits for him, but songs like Little Genie and Empty Garden, Hey Hey Johnny, a song for his late friend John Lennon, were still liked by many. Moving into the 1990s, Elton worked on more music projects. One of his biggest projects was with Tim Rice for the soundtrack of the 1994 animated movie The Lion King. This collaboration brought him a lot of success, including his first Academy Award for Best Original Song with Can You Feel the Love Tonight, and a Grammy for Best Male Pop Vocal Performance. Their successful partnership continued into the year 2000 when they won a Tony Award for Best Original Score for the musical Ida. But the recognition didn't stop there. In the same year, Elton was honored with many awards, including being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He was also made a Commander of the Order of the British Empire by Queen Elizabeth II. Shortly after, he was knighted, becoming Sir Elton John. He enjoyed the recognition and admiration from this success, but things soon took a sad turn when two of his close friends, Gianni Versace and Princess Diana, passed away in the summer of 1997. In memory of Diana, Elton re-recorded his famous song Candle in the Wind, and all the proceeds went to a charity created in her name. The song became incredibly popular, selling more than 30 million copies and earning Elton yet another Grammy. But even after these emotional moments, Elton's music career kept going strong. In 2006, he released The Captain and the Kid, which was a follow-up to his autobiographical album Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. In 2010, he teamed up with Leon Russell for The Union and went on tour with him. Then, in 2013, Elton released his 30th studio album, The Diving Board, which was produced by T-Bone Burnett. In 2016, he came out with his 33rd album, Wonderful Crazy Night, which received great reviews and was special because it reunited him with the Elton John Band after 10 years apart. Even though he wasn't performing live as often, Elton's reputation as an amazing live performer remained intact. In 2012, he joined other music legends like Ozzy Osbourne, Eric Clapton, Stevie Wonder, and Paul McCartney for a huge concert celebrating Queen Elizabeth's 60-year reign. After releasing a movie about his life with his husband in May 2019, he followed up with a personal memoir called Me later that same year. Then, on January 24, 2018, he made a big announcement. He was going to retire from touring once his farewell Yellow Brick Road tour was finished. Elton said his focus had shifted, and he wanted to spend more time with his husband, David, and their children. But Elton's family relationships have often been complicated. He's known for being direct and doesn't hold back, even with the people closest to him. For example, Elton had an intense argument with his mother, Sheila, which lasted for 8 years. According to People magazine, things got heated in June 2008 when Elton fired 2 staff staff members who had worked with him for a long time and were also close to his mom. The situation got worse when Elton demanded that his mother cut ties with those people. She refused, which led to an even bigger fight. Elton accused her of siding with them instead of supporting him. During a heated argument, she insulted Elton's husband, David, and Elton, in turn, yelled that he hated her. That marked the end of their communication for years. But this wasn't the worst part. For those 8 years, the only contact they had was through angry exchanges in the media. However, as time passed, their relationship started to heal. On her 90th birthday, Elton extended an olive branch by sending her a large bouquet of flowers. Although Elton didn't publicly talk much about their reconciliation, posts on social media and kind comments suggested they had made peace by the time she passed away in 2017. Even though Elton's life as a celebrity might seem perfect on the surface, he faced many challenges and controversies. One of those was a controversial comment during a 2016 interview with Neil Tennant from the Pet Shop Boys. Tennant asked when Elton first realized he was gay, and in response, Elton shared personal and awkward stories from his teenage years about his feelings and desires. His comments, which touched on sensitive topics, sparked backlash as some felt they were inappropriate. With the stage set for global acclaim, we now turn to explore Elton's profound impact on music and culture in the following chapter: Friends, Family, and Famous Remarks. Elton John performed at Princess Diana's funeral, a moment he still reflects on with deep emotion. He often calls her an angel because of the special bond they shared. This close connection with her family carried on even years later when he sang at Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's wedding in 2018. In his personal life, Elton's first marriage was to Renate Blauel, which lasted from 1984 to 1988. After their divorce, Elton publicly came out as gay. In 2005, he began a relationship with David Furnish, a Canadian advertising executive he had met in another incident involved his remarks about Ed Sheeran's weight. As a mentor and record label boss to Sheeran, Elton often gave him career advice. In 2016, when Sheeran took a break from music, Elton bluntly commented that he had advised Sheeran not to gain weight during his time off. Sheeran didn't follow the advice and came back looking heavier, though Elton later noted Sheeran lost the weight for his next album. Despite his intentions, Elton's remarks about Sheeran's weight were seen by many as insensitive. But this wasn't the only time Elton's bluntness stirred controversy. His straightforward approach has often led to criticism, especially when it comes to sensitive topics. People reacted strongly to his comments, thinking they were uncalled for and a bit too harsh. In 2002, the famous Liza Minnelli married music producer David Jest. Elton John made a remark at their wedding, apparently linked to rumors about his romantic preferences and the fact that Minnelli's first husband was gay. He reportedly joked that he wished Minnelli could find a straight husband. David didn't find this funny at all. In fact, according to his best friend and bodyguard, he even planned to have him execute. This shocking claim surfaced on the first anniversary of his death in 2017. It was alleged that Guest offered $25,000 to have him assassinated. The bodyguard admitted that he set up the hit, but backed out at the last minute, convincing him to cancel the plan just days before it was supposed to happen in 2003. But that wasn't the only controversial moment involving him. Another issue, although less dramatic, was the names he gave his children. It's not uncommon for celebrities to give their kids unusual names. Some even name their children things as strange as X. While he didn't go that far, he did choose unique names for his sons: Zachary Jackson, Levon Furnish John, and Elijah Joseph Daniel Furnish John. The middle names come from some of his hit songs from the 1970s, which might sound odd unless you know his music. One surprising fact about Elton John is that his real name wasn't always Elton. He was born as Reg Dwight and even performed under that name until he met his longtime collaborator, Bernie Taupin. In 1972, he changed it to Elton Hercules John. The name Elton came from a former bandmate, Elton Dean, and John was from his mentor, Long John Baldry. As for Hercules, it wasn't inspired by the mythological hero, but by a horse from the British sitcom Steptoe and Son. At first glance, the name might seem like a joke, but it turned out to be strangely fitting, as the show's lead actor faced some of the same personal struggles he did later in life. Freddie Mercury, the legendary Queen frontman, was openly a part of the LGBTQ+ community. During his time, society wasn't very accepting of people who weren't straight, so it makes sense that Freddie and Elton John became good friends. Both were not only members of the LGBTQ+ community, but they were also some of the most energetic and larger-than-life performers of their generation. They had such a close bond that they even gave each other drag queen alter egos. Elton was Sharon and Freddy was Melina. Their friendship was so strong that when Freddy was diagnosed with AIDS, Elton was one of the first people he told. Elton kept this news private and supported his friend as his health declined. He had already lost other friends to AIDS and knew just how serious the disease was. This experience pushed Elton to become deeply involved in raising awareness and funds for AIDS charities. Freddy deeply respected Elton, and even as his health worsened, he still found ways to show his affection. After Freddy passed away on November 24, 1991, Elton received a special Christmas gift from him. It was a painting by one of Elton's favorite artists, Henry Scott Tuke, along with a note from Freddy. "Dear Sharon, I thought you'd like this. Love, Melina. Happy Christmas." Even in his final days, Freddy thought of his friend. But this wasn't the only thing that connected them. When people think of Elton John, they often remember his flashy and unique glasses. Elton is so known for his love of glasses that they even take up a lot of space on his website. Despite this obsession with eyewear, Elton's vision wasn't actually bad when he first started wearing glasses. He began wearing them at 13 as a way to pay tribute to Buddy Holly, one of his musical idols. What started as a fashion statement, however, ended up hurting his eyesight, and eventually, Elton needed glasses to see. He even advised his fans not to follow his example, but in reality, doctors say his eyesight would have worsened naturally as he got older. Now, switching gears to one of Elton's most famous moments, many remember his tribute song to Princess Diana after her tragic death, but their friendship didn't begin with that song. Elton had known the royal family long before he met Diana at a party in 1981. They hit it off right away, becoming good friends after a 20-minute dance together, but their friendship wasn't without drama. In 1997, Elton and his friend Gianni Versace published a book called Rock and Royalty, which included photos of the royal family alongside pictures of nearly naked male models. This upset Diana and created a distance between them. They patched things up after Versace was murdered that same year, but sadly, just a short time later, Diana died in a car crash, cutting their friendship short again. Back then, they couldn't get married due to legal restrictions, but they stayed committed and finally married in December 2014. With these vivid narratives of friendship and controversy behind us, the next chapter delves deeper into how Elton John's personal evolution influences his artistic endeavors. A team in music and life. David Furnish played a key role in Elton's career, becoming the chief executive of Rocket Entertainment, the company that managed Elton's business affairs. While Elton was the face of the music, David worked behind the scenes, creating a clear plan and brand for Elton's career. So, although Elton earned the money, David was the one handling the strategy and direction. But Elton's journey wasn't always easy. One of the toughest challenges he faced was his battle with addiction. In the 1970s, Elton was famous for his lively performances and extravagant costumes, but he relied on stimulants to help with his stage fright. What started as occasional use quickly turned into a serious addiction that lasted 16 years, making much of the 70s and 80s a blur for him. It wasn't just one substance that took over his life. In a 2010 interview, Elton opened up about how he would binge on substances, food, and even developed bulimia. This cycle of addiction almost eliminates him, leaving him feeling empty and in danger. At first, Elton didn't know much about illegal substances, but things changed when his manager introduced them during a recording session in the early 70s. At first, they made him feel more confident, but soon enough, they trapped him in a world of isolation and overindulgence. But this wasn't the worst part. Even as the AIDS crisis hit hard in the 80s, and despite losing close friends to the disease, Elton's addiction continued. Fear and loss weren't enough to make him stop. It was only when he met Ryan White, a young boy who contracted HIV through a blood transfusion, that something changed. Ryan's battle with the disease and his eventual death were what finally pushed Elton to get help and take control of his life again. He shared that meeting Ryan White and his family was a lucky moment, as he wanted to help them. However, it turned out that they ended up having a much bigger impact on him. Ryan played a big part in helping him recover from his addictions, which later led him to start his AIDS Foundation. Just 6 months after Ryan passed away, he had completely stopped using substances and alcohol, staying sober for the next many years. Elton first heard about Ryan in 1985, and after visiting him, he became close to his family. He was even by Ryan's side when the boy passed away on April 9, 1990. At Ryan's funeral, Elton carried the coffin and performed the song Skyline Pigeon in front of a crowd of 9,500 people. Going back to 1975, Elton was struggling with heavy cocaine use, so it wasn't too surprising when he overdosed. Sadly, this wasn't the only time he almost died because of narcotic. In a very honest interview, he shared how he would have seizures, turn blue, and be found passed out. But just minutes after coming to, he would go right back to doing cocaine. His addiction was taking over his life. By 1990, Elton finally beat his substance habit. He was deeply thankful for surviving those tough years, especially during the early AIDS crisis, a time when he was still recklessly using illegal substances. He said, "Mixing pills and alcohol made me feel like nothing could hurt me. I was lucky not to get HIV. I'm the luckiest man alive." In 1990, after years of narcotic abuse and life-threatening seizures from his cocaine use, Elton went into rehab. He was so happy to be sober that soon after, he started a foundation to fight AIDS. The Elton John AIDS Foundation was created in 1992 in the United States and has since raised more than $565 million for HIV and AIDS programs around the world. Along with this foundation, Elton also supports other charities and cultural groups, like the Globe Theatre and the Royal Academy of Music. Now, after being sober for 30 years, Elton proudly celebrates his sobriety. He even posted about his 25th anniversary of being clean on Instagram in 2015 with a cake that had the number 25 and the words, "One day at a time." Unfortunately, the struggle with addiction isn't completely over for him. He admits that he still has dreams about using substances about twice a week. He describes these dreams as scary, but also a reminder of how far he has come. Today, Elton is a father of 2 with his partner David, and he continues to deal with addiction, not just to substances, but also to work. In 2013, the year their second son was born, Elton almost died from a serious case of appendicitis that doctors misdiagnosed. This made him rethink how much he was working and constantly touring. He jokes that he's not someone who can live with just a few things. He always needs more. The health scare in 2013 was a big moment for him, making him realize that his constant work was wearing him down. And now, after everything Elton John has faced, here's a question. Has his controversial honesty hurt or helped his legacy? Let us know your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.